This is the old school traveler. I'm about to tell you about a city I went to. I'm gonna tell you why I went there, and I'm gonna tell you it's not too enjoyable, but it's not a bad place to spend a couple of days. I spent a week there, and I went to a place called Rovaniemi, Finland. Rovaniemi, Finland. It's also known as Lapland, and you heard of Lapland because they got Santa Claus Village that I went to. The Santa Claus Village is in these photos, in this video, and I think it's overrated. I think it's overrated because it's well overrated. It's their version of Disney World for people who are into the Santa Claus stuff. The stores were not big that had all this Santa Claus stuff. It just, they got the Igloo, hotel. They got the Northern Lights. They got a few things that you can look forward to seeing. But I ended up riding huskies, reindeers. I ended up doing a lot of that kind of stuff. Now, reindeers are big. Those are big animals. They're not big as a lot of the animals that I've been to in national parks in the States and other countries. But they're not small. They're not very tasty either. And they look at you like, yeah, you can take a bite out of me. You might not like what you're going to taste, though. But, I enjoy, I stayed at a place called Puka Resorts. I stayed there and I really, really, really enjoyed it. And I'm going to tell you why I enjoyed it. Because of the people I met while I was there. I met a few Europeans. I met an American who works at one of the resorts. She was in between studies. But what I didn't like Rovaniemi is that you don't have anywhere to eat. You don't have a good restaurant. You're locked into a resort. And when you leave the resort to go to the city, it's just interesting. You leave the resort to go to the city. There's no good restaurants in the city, not in Rovaniemi. And the resort, the food was not bad, but it's way overpriced. I'm talking about way overpriced because they know they got a locked in audience. You can't go nowhere. You got to go at least 10, 12 miles before you get to the city. And then you go there and you're disappointed and you find yourself eating fast food. It's just, it is what it is. I think it's way overrated and it's way, way, way overpriced. Way overpriced. Now, don't get me wrong, the people are very, very nice, but they're not Finnish. They're from other areas. Because the Finland people, they look like ghosts. They act like ghosts. They just are not a warm-hearted person. I seen a mother meet her daughter, and they didn't even give each other a hug. I said, "Holy crap! You think at least she can be nice to her own kids? Maybe she got my attitude. Good riddance. See you later. See you at my funeral." But it's just not a warm city. Now, saying that, at the resort, they were all nice. But when people are at resorts and stuff, and they get from other countries, they know customer service matters. Customer service matters. Oh, the other thing I'm going to tell you too. When you go to these resorts, especially in Finland and Sweden and Norway, if you book excursions, and I booked a lot of excursions, you don't get a refund. You got to tell them 3 days in advance. Well, if you get a cold the night before, that's not good enough. You just threw that money away. It's not good enough. And the fact is, we got a cold the night before from the guide who was taking us around on the reindeer rides. What's the damn problem? He was sneezing and coughing the whole damn time. And the next morning, we didn't feel great. We went and told them. They're like, "You out of luck." And I'm like, hold it. You guys knew this guy was sick as shit before I even got on the thing. Because somebody else said he was sick 3 days ago. Well, we didn't know that because we was not with him 3 days ago. But the customer service part that ran the excursions, they all knew. But you're not getting your money back. And they're going to try and sell your seat to somebody else. You're not getting your money back. It is what it is. But anyway, that's the policy. It wasn't like the customer service people were saying we're not giving your money back. The policy was laid out, clear cut, in print when we paid for it. So it's not like they did anything different. They didn't change anything. But you sometimes think that, hey, maybe these people will know why we got sick. But luckily, it only lasted one day. We drank a lot of hot liquids. And we got in the sauna. Bam, we was good, just as good as new. So, we got lucky in that aspect. But by then, I was ready to leave. I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to go. It is what it is. I'm ready to go. But my whole thing to you is that Rovaniemi, I didn't see one person. No, that's a lie. I saw 4 people of different races, different cultures than the Finnish people. 2 were Chinese, 2 were African, and the 2 that were African were cab drivers, and the 2 that were Chinese were students. They were like in their early 20s. And because I didn't see any old Chinese. That's a sign that, the kids are there because the parents are there or whatever. I didn't see anybody old, not Chinese. I didn't really see a lot of old Finnish people. I don't know how long they live over there. I know they got great medical care, but I didn't see a bunch of them though. So when you go to these places, and I know that at the resort there was no minorities, none at all, but it was a cold area. Minorities ain't famous for being in the cold. I know that already. So it was a lot of cold there, but we were up in Lapland. Rovaniemi is famous because it's Lapland and because you got the Northern Lights and you got the reindeers, you got the Huskies. I can get Huskies in Alaska. Reindeer, out of all the deer meat I've eaten in my life, is the least tasteful that I ever had. It's not very tasteful at all. But I went there because I was going to try it out, and I decided to start with the sausage. Then I went to reindeer burgers and all that. Nah, it's all the same, man. It's just not there. It's just not there. But I think that if I went over there and lived there, by the time I died or left, you'd have some reindeer burgers that you would just die for. Oh, yeah. And it's very lean meat, too. That's one thing I did like about it. It's very, very lean. But at the same time, I thought that when I got to Finland that people would be a little more friendlier up north. Shit. They're worse than the ones in Helsinki. It's almost like when they see another human, that other human is a burden to them. The other human is a burden. Yeah, that's just how they roll. The other human was a burden to them. So they're not going to walk out and give you a hug. They're not going to say, they're only going to say to you the minimum amount they can say and finish their conversation. Their goal is to finish their conversation. Even when I see young kids near the university, they were not laughing and giggling and just, it just wasn't normal. I seen, you see them, they just walking. They're not talking, they passing stores and doing all kind of stuff. They just not bringing that energy that you want to see. No, and it can't be because it's cold as hell all the time. I guess if I lived in a cold weather place, I'd be mad as hell all the time too. I'd be upset every day I woke out of bed. Like, damn, I woke up again, it's still cold. When the bed is cold, waking in the morning is cold. They just have that coldness about them that is normal there. And if you are an extrovert, God bless you, man. You're just gonna die there. You're just gonna have a nightmare from hell. You're gonna have misery that you won't believe. I mean, it's just the culture. It's just the culture. I don't know why the Finns go on vacation to another country. I don't think they do. They shouldn't, because you don't need to bring that negative energy with you. You don't need to bring that. I go to a bar and I see them in there for a couple of hours, and I see them in there and stuff. You don't hear no noise. No noise at all. Who in the hell goes to a bar with a lot of young people and don't hear no noise? No TV. No, why even go to the bar? Just stay at home. Have your drink at home. It's just weird the way it is. I'm like, okay, what kind of country is this? And I was going to go to Norway, but after going to Finland, it reminded me of Iceland. Going through the Iceland airport. Iceland is one of the places that if it fell off the earth, no one would miss it. I kind of feel like Finland's the same way. It's the exact same way. Not only is it, Rovaniemi, I think because you're farther up north, you're a couple 100 miles, 300 miles up north from Helsinki. I should have known that Helsinki, the people there, are warmer than the people in Rovaniemi, and in Helsinki, the people there they are ice cubes. They're cold as hell. They're ice cubes. They're cold as ice. Boston said it right. And Rovaniemi, once you leave the resort area, even some of the resorts, the people are just not welcoming. They are not welcoming at all. If I'm in a tourist destination and most of my business is based on tourists buying my overpriced so-called homemade trinkets and stuff, I'm going to be nice to them. Yes, I am. No, those people don't give a damn about you. They don't care about you. They're like, you know what? Come get on this Husky and get the hell out of here. Now, the ones who are not imported or not, imported from other places, the ones who came there to work as a tour guide or whatever have you, they were cool. They were cool, but they were not Finnish people. You ask them where they're from, they tell you, yeah, they were cool as hell. I had fun with them because they get excited because they love what they do, especially if you're around animals all day. You got to have a passion for that. You got to have a love for that. They can tell you everything about a reindeer there is. Every little detail. They can tell you everything about a husky. They can tell you all the different husky breeds in the world. So they're like the geeky ones that just glad that someone's talking to them. You always got this kind of, I got a nephew like that. He's very introverted. But man, he has those minutes and those moments. You say hello, wham, boy, you open the door that you didn't want to open. You just open the hell out of that door. You were like, what the hell? He's been building that up to talk to you for years. And he gonna let you have it. Love him to death. But his problem is, it's not an end. So, when I see him, I always say, hey man, you all right? He said, yeah. I leave it at that. I do not say, how are you doing? Because he's gonna tell you how he's doing. And it ain't gonna be something you want to hear for another hour. And the people up in Finland, in the Rovaniemi, the ones who work at the resorts, they're like that. They are like that. Which is kind of cool because you're their outlet for the day. You just don't know it when you ask, how old is the puppy? And, is his mother here? Don't continue the conversation. But a lot of you don't know that because you continue the conversation because you can't read people. You can't. You ask her, you use 6 letters. How is the dog today? You use 5 words. She talked for 30 minutes. What do you think she's going to do if you use 6 words? That might add another 15 minutes to the conversation. And after the first minute and a half, they kind of like lawyers. They don't get around to the answer. You're like, damn, I should never ask this question here because I didn't realize it was going to go like this. And because you thought you asked something very innocent. No, man, what you did was that you started a fire. And that fire ain't going to burn out for a while. So when you go to Rovaniemi, we stayed in the igloo, in the igloo tents. They're not really tents. They're like little huts, And, everything's self-contained. You got a bathroom in there. You got 2 stories, real small. It's real small. And I have pictures of when you walk around, you can see. But, the igloo tents ain't worth shit if it's snowing. You can open the door and see the snow. You ain't got to lay on your back and look up through a glass. Glass igloos, overrated, overpriced, But, they do a good job of maintaining them. But the one thing they don't do is those roads, man, you might break your neck because it's ice everywhere. But the whole point is you want to go see the northern lights. So you got to go when it's cold. If it's cloudy, you're not going to see anything at all. But, we got to spend a lot of time with the dogs, with the huskies, with the reindeers. And that was kind of cool. You walk through the forest and they got these. See, I'm a person that when I travel, like to Rovaniemi, I can always find something to do if that town has something to do. If I go to a resort, I'm the kind of person that I like to book a lot of excursions, be busy. But I found out that most of the fun I had in Rovaniemi was generally later in the day. Even eating food in the resort, you have to book by time or get a buffet or something like that. And I'm not a big buffet fan, but going to Europe for a buffet is a totally different experience than having it in America. In America, we like to touch shit that we're not going to eat. We famous for that. I got people I know, some I'm related to, they'll touch a piece of chicken. I'm not going to eat that. Why'd you touch it? In Europe, they know what they want to eat. They go up, they grab it, put it on their plate, they put the tongues down, and they move on. That's how you eat at a buffet. Unlike Americans who like put their face over food, not knowing that things are dropping out of their nose. They don't care because it's all about me. Where in Rovaniemi, when they had the buffet, people are conscientious of the person behind them. Not in America at all. And that's what kind of pissed me off a little bit, why I don't mess with buffets. I've been to Golden Corral one time, only because my kid wanted to go because he wanted the ice cream. The fact that they have vegetables and they have fruits and all this other stuff never even clicked on his mind. No. He was going for one reason only, the ice cream. It would have been more fun, easier, if I would just taken his ass to Dairy Queen. It'd have been simple. But, he was little, he was young. And after he ate the ice cream, he had about 4 or 5 ice cream cones. And he told me, Dad, this is ice cream milk. I don't even like it. You ate 5 of them before you figured that out? Hell, you should have figured it out the first one you ate. But, like I said, kids always learn a lot of things the hard way because they think the world was born when they was born. And Rovaniemi, the kids enjoyed the buffets because it was cheaper and you had a bigger variety. If you got more than one kid, there's something for everybody. What you don't want to do is mess around. You don't want to mess around and take a kid to a place where it's $50, $60, because any place in Finland is expensive compared to the rest of the world. Any place is expensive. And if it's more than one of you, it feels like it's 3 times expensive when it's just 2 of you. Any place is expensive. So my whole point is that if you go to Rovaniemi, don't expect a lot of diversity, don't expect a lot of variety. No, it's a very, very simple country or a simple city. And you can almost walk around the whole city, but they got like a damn train track in the middle. And they got a small little airport that takes about 2 minutes to board. So that's not bad at all. So if you go there, have another trip, another place in mind. Have another place in mind that you really want to go to as well. Don't go there thinking you got to have fun there. So it's not the kind of city. They got all the resorts a little north of the city. Lapland, Christmas Village, they got the reindeer rides, the Husky rides. They got all this stuff. You see all in the video. They got all that stuff. And that's kind of cool, but that can't be the only reason you go though. And then going to Helsinki, don't make it any better. And people say, we got them all. I'm from America. I got 5,000 malls in every state. I can shop anywhere. What do you have that's unique? They really don't. That's the Old School Traveler. That's my take on Rovaniemi, Finland.